Hello. In today's lesson, I'm going to teach you the present perfect tense. The present perfect tense is such an interesting tense in English. It's different from all the other tenses. I'm sure you have studied the simple present, I do, the present continuous, I'm doing, future with will, past continuous, I was doing, etc. Today, we're going to look at the present perfect tense, I have done. Um, First, we're going to look at how to form the present perfect tense. Then we'll look at contracted forms, both affirmative and negative. After that, we'll look at verb forms. And then past participle, we're going to look at the difference between irregular and irregular verbs. I'm going to break this video into 3 videos. So in the first part, I'm going to talk about how to form the present perfect tense, the contracted forms. We're going to look at verb forms, the past participle, and I'll explain the difference between regular and irregular verbs. In the next video, I'm going to show you when to use the present perfect tense in the different situations. In 2 separate videos, we'll do that, and then followed by the summary. All right, so without further ado, let's get started. How to form the present perfect tense? To form the present perfect tense, you need to have the present form of the auxiliary have or has, if it's the third person singular, with the past participle of the verb that you want to use, I have done. For a negative sentence, you need to have a present form of have or has followed by not. So you add not to make it negative and the past participle, for example, I have not done. In questions, remember we use the auxiliary before the subject in a question. So you still have plus past participle. For example, have you done? Okay, the subject is you, so the auxiliary have comes before the subject. What have you done? Now, let's look at contractions. In spoken English, it's recommended to use contractions. I have done is contracted to I've done. So it's pronounced I've. How do you know if you pronounce it well enough or correctly? If you touch your forehead while you pronounce it, I've, or if you touch your throat, you should feel a little vibration. I've tried to touch your throat while saying it, and you will see that your throat vibrates. I've done. So if your throat vibrates, you know you're pronouncing it correctly. You have done is contracted to you've done. He has done, he's done. She has done, she's done. So she's and he's are the contracted form for the third person singular. But don't confuse this with he is or she is, because they can also be contracted to that form. But you will know if you have the past participle afterwards, so you know it's he has or she has. It has done, it's done. We have done, we've done. They have done, they've done. So this is for the affirmative contracted forms. Now let's look at the negative contracted forms. For the negative, we add not. So I haven't is the contracted form for I have not. I have not been, I haven't been. You have not been, you haven't been. Okay, he hasn't been. The pronunciation is he hasn't. She hasn't. It hasn't. We haven't. They haven't. So that's it for the contracted forms for both affirmative and negative. All right, right now we're going to look at verb forms and past participle. Now, regular verbs. Let's look at regular verbs first. By definition, a regular verb in English is a verb whose simple past and past participle are the same and they both finish with the ed form. If you have a verb that ends in an ed in the simple past and it's the same for the past participle, then the verb is a regular verb. For example, want is a regular verb. All right, so we're going to look at that later. But first, let's look at the verb forms. Now, I listed 5 verb forms here for you. The infinitive is when you have the verb with to in front of it. For example, to want is the infinitive. Wanting is the gerund. The gerund is the infinitive without the preposition to. What is the base form? The base form, oh, sorry. The gerund is the ing form of the verb. That's the gerund. The base form is the verb without the preposition to in front of it. The simple past is wanted and the past participle wanted. So for all these verbs here, you'll notice that the simple past and the past participle are the same, and that's why we call them regular verbs. So if anybody asks you what is a regular verb, you'll simply tell them that a regular verb is a verb in English that ends in ed in both the simple past and the past participle. To decide, deciding is the gerund, decide the base form, decided the past participle, all right, and so forth. Now, let's look at some irregular verbs. These verbs are not regular. What does that mean? Please take a look at excuse me, take a look at the simple past of these verbs. For example, to do, that's the infinitive. The gerund is doing. The gerund is always the ing form of the verb. The base form, do, remember the base form is the infinitive without to. Simple past, did, and the past participle is done. So by definition, the verb to do is not a regular verb. It is an irregular verb because it does not follow the same pattern as a regular verb in terms of ed at the end of the verb for both the simple past and the past participle. Another irregular verb is stand. To stand is the infinitive. Standing is the gerund. Stand, the base form. The simple past is stood, and the past participle is stood. As you can see, these two verbs have the same past participle, but that doesn't mean they're regular verbs because they don't end in ed. To make, making, make, made, made. To bring, bringing, bring, brought, brought. So the past participle is the last column here, brought. So that's what you will need to form the present perfect tense. The present perfect, if you're dealing with the present perfect tense, it has to do with the past participle. So you use have or has plus the past participle. All right, that's it. If you like the video, please consider subscribing to the channel and give it a thumbs up. Smash the like button. And don't forget to activate the notification bell so whenever I release a new video, you will be among the first to know. All right, so that's it for now. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.